And welcome back to Scarred for Life, the podcast where we open up old wounds by looking back at the films that scared us as kids. I'm Terry.
And I'm Mary Beth.
And each episode, our special guest brings with them a movie that traumatized them as a child.
This week, our guest is Robbie Banfitch. He is the filmmaker behind The Outwaters, which is currently playing in festivals and just played at the Unnamed Footage Festival. Welcome to the show!
Hey.
Hey.
Hi.
Shout out to Robbie for emailing the Dread Central info email box with a found footage movie that made Mary Beth go, I would like to talk about this movie. So thank you, Internet, for bringing us together.
And thank you for being the only person to reply to a few emails I sent.
If you put found footage in a subject line, I will be reading it. But before we get to your incredible movie, Robbie, tell us about how you got into horror and when you started watching horror movies.
Too young. I think I remember seeing Jaws when I was 3.
Me too.
Yeah, the first movie I remember ever watching was King Kong, which has horror elements. The original King Kong.
Ooh, yeah.
But Jaws, and then my dad used to let me rent anything, literally anything at the store. So I saw Candyman when I was 7.
Oh wow.
And I just like being scared.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, that was too young for Candyman.
It really is.
That is incredibly young for Candyman. And so was it both of your parents, just you and your dad, that were really into horror movies?
More my dad, and then
cool.
My parents were divorced and my dad would let me rent things like Candyman, and then my mom would find out that I had watched it and they would get into a fight. So
that sounds incredibly similar to my childhood experience, where my dad would have me watch movies and then my mom would find out that I watched it because I couldn't sleep when I came home, and then they would get into huge fights about what was appropriate to show a 6-year-old child.
I just remember my dad rented me a killer crocodile movie called Dark Age. It's an 80s Australian crocodile movie.
Okay.
And he rented it and my mom put it on. And there's literally a scene where a 3-year-old little kid gets its head crunched down by a crocodile. And my mom, I think I was 3 or 4.
Gnarly.
And I didn't get to watch the whole movie until it came out on Blu-ray a few years ago. Shout out Umbrella Entertainment in Australia.
So all you had in your head was that one scene in your head forever.
That's all I remembered. And I love a killer animal movie, so I was so excited for that Blu-ray.
And it has that movie had John Jarrett in it, who would become Mick Taylor in the Wolf Creek movies.
He was smoking. He was so hot and sweaty in that movie in Dark Age. Check it out.
Nothing. It's not a good Australian horror movie unless at least one person is sweaty and just covered in dirt.
That's John Jarrett.
Here for it.
Hell yeah.
So what were a few of your favorites growing up?
Growing up, Poltergeist, Cujo, Jurassic Park, and Jaws, which I consider horror.
Me too.
Oh yeah.
Those are my 2 all-time favorite movies. And then, but yeah, I think when I was young, Cujo and Poltergeist were on a lot, and I would rent them over and over.
Oof,
2 extremes
Poltergeist.
there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good lord. So you love Poltergeist, and you loved, oh my god, why did it just leave
Cujo.
my head? Cujo. But do you remember what your first horror movie was? Your very first one?
Jaws is the first one I remember.
So Jaws was the first one. So it seems like you have a creature feature thing going on. Creature movies were your favorite.
Specifically, killer animals. I don't really...
Killer animals, okay.
I literally have, aside from the Sci-Fi Channel trash, I have every killer animal movie on physical media that you could think of.
Wow.
Okay, did you ever see the Snakehead movie, the sci-fi Snakehead movie about the mutant fish in Maryland? Did you ever see that one?
The Bay?
No, that's not The Bay. This one's a bad sci. It's not the found footage one that's actually decent. It's about the snakehead fish in Maryland, and they made Maryland look like a backcountry, hillbilly town when the fish... It's based on a true story, but the fish were not giant monsters. They were fish that could walk on land, and it was near my hometown, and it was not hillbilly, but they took the story and made it look like Maryland was Deliverance rural area, and it is hilarious.
If it was literally a Sci-Fi Channel movie, then no. I tend to stay away from Sci-Fi Channel stuff. I can't
Fair enough.
do it. I like cheesy movies if they're trying to be good, not if they know they're horrible and reveling in that. Typical.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. No, I get that. For sure.
Was that Snakehead Terror, Mary Beth?
That was in fact Snakehead Terror. I figured, okay, I was wondering if it was something that basic.
I'm adding it to my letterbox list.
Oh, the pictures on IMDb look amazingly bad. 2004. Wow. Okay, so aside from like the movie that we're talking about today, did you get scared as a kid growing up? And were there movies that like terrified you other than the one we're going to talk about?
The original Pet Sematary, the Victor Pascal scene ruined me, which is a good opportunity to just mention that I much prefer the remake over the original Pet Sematary, which
really?
I just do, yes. I just wanted to get that in here.
Yes,
because
Robbie.
The consensus seems to be everyone hated it, and I mean, I think it's just straightforward. It keeps the tone. It doesn't get goofy. And since I love the story of Pet Sematary so much and like the poetry of the story, I just appreciated that the new one was tonally cohesive and didn't veer off into like cheesiness. I love the original Pet Sematary. I just think the new one the story is better served by the movie
You
itself.
and I besties. We're just besties. That's it. That's my favorite. It's such a good movie.
But yeah, Victor Pascal's scene in the original one really messed me up. But I didn't often get, so I would say it might be a good thing. Everyone has different definitions of like fear or being scared by a movie. So for me, when I say I'm scared by a movie, that means like chills and goosebumps and looking over my shoulder, not like intensity or suspense or jump scares. Okay. So in terms of chills, the Victor Pascal and some stuff from Poltergeist, yeah. Oh, Candyman, obviously, like seeing that at 7. Well, I just remember my dad showed it to me, and he then took me to his girlfriend at the time's house, and she had, or at least my memory is that she had mirrors everywhere, like she had a mirror collection, and so. It wasn't just like I was scared of the mirrors later that day in the bathroom. She just had mirrors everywhere.
That's amazing.
So, yeah. And that movie still gives me chills today.
Same. That's a good one.
I do have so many mirrors. That's like a nightmare in my head to have so many mirrors around you, but good Lord. Okay, so then now, as an adult, what draws you to the horror genre now?
Just the sense of the visceral feeling you get, the thrill thing, just that visceral roller coaster type of the same reason you go on a roller coaster kind of thing, which is like, it's been said a million times, but that's what it is. I'm always excited to hopefully find a new horror movie that I think is really good,
Okay. Well, then what was the last horror movie that you saw that made you think this is really good?
The Night House. I loved The Night House. There were there was like one aspect of it that I didn't love, but overall I thought it was completely beautiful, especially like the poetry and the ending and that kind of stuff. I loved what that film was about. Yeah, that's probably the last one I saw that I absolutely loved.
But did it scare you and give you that goosebumps feeling?
No. I just thought it was a good movie. It had some good eerie moments, but I didn't get like chills at all. For me, it was more of like a drama type of feeling. That movie.
I get that. You kind of said how there, people experience fear or have different definitions of fear. And you said that for you, it's that kind of dread, that kind of looking behind you, goosebump type feel. Do you remember the last movie that actually gave that sense to you?
Yeah, The Vigil.
Oh, yeah.
Which I watched a month or maybe 2 months ago. I was not expecting. I thought it looked good, but I wasn't expecting that. It's very rare that I get the chills. So, but I got the chills for The Vigil. I also like fell in love with the main character. I don't know if you've seen it, but I just was like in love with him. Yeah.
Yeah, we love that movie.
He's a cutie.
He is a cutie.
Yeah.
We also love that movie because we talked to the director and that movie is terrifying.
Oh, yeah. No, that's definitely the last film that gave me chills, and I'm excited to show it to some friends.
Hell yeah.
For sure. So, okay. You have directed this movie. This movie is called The Outwaters. The Outwaters. It is a found footage movie. Can you tell our listeners a little bit more about this film?
It's super cute. It's
Yes.
like a fun jaunt through the desert. If
Yes.
you liked, what's that Britney Spears movie where she goes on a road trip?
Crossroads?
Oh, Crossroads?
If you liked Crossroads, it's just like that. And
Just like that.
some not cute things happen, but ultimately it's like gorge. Yeah. No,
That's it. It's just vibes. It's vibes all the way down.
it's some people and they go into the desert to make a music video, and it's very like slice of life. And then some bad things happen to them. I don't usually go further.
Yeah.
I like people
That's
that just
fair.
like watch it. But yeah, I mean, you ask me anything you want about it, but usually when I talk about it, I just say it's like Crossroads.
It's just like Crossroads. Just like Crossroads.
That's how I'm going to introduce it.
I love
At
that.
Unnamed Footage
I'm going to
Festival.
make some of my friends watch it because I have some friends that don't do horror and will be like, well, this is just like Crossroads. And they will.
I have literally like no job, so if you want me to edit a trailer with like Britney Spears over it and make the movie look totally different, I can just send that to you and you could say, let's watch this movie tonight.
Oh my God. I would love that. I would love that.
I think I might do that. I'll do that for you, Terry.
Thank you, Robbie.
Oh.
So, okay, so we had talked a little bit before we started recording and we said, no, pause. We have to get this on. So we said that this movie is really fucked up. And you said that you didn't think it was fucked up until people started telling you that it was. Elaborate on that.
I really didn't think it was that weird or messed up. I thought it was like, a little strange in spots, but I didn't think what I was doing was that out there. I don't know why. I guess I understand now. I mean, I knew that the one scene that I don't want to talk about to give anything away towards the end, I know that was messed up, but like I've seen worse. I just thought, oh yeah, no, like this is what would happen if these strange things. I don't know. That was a completely incohesive answer, but I'm sorry.
That was the best answer.
Let's let it remain a mystery.
I've seen worse. Fair. I watched it and I was like, I have seen worse, but not a lot worse. If you don't watch a lot of more extreme-ish horror, it might be a little off-putting, to put it lightly.
That's the other thing, because I actually don't like extreme horror personally. I don't like torture stuff. I don't like torture. I don't like I cannot watch a Serbian film. That's not my thing.
Don't worry about that one.
I'm not into it. What actually scares one thing, I guess I don't want to give too much away, but this won't give too much away. I find it very disturbing to see the aftermath of violence. And in the Outwaters, I don't really actually show violence happening to anyone. Like even that scene, you really don't see it happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
True.
So I guess that's why I get scared when I hear, like, I show it to someone and I just don't like connections to the Serbian film type of things. I don't think it is that, but I understand why it has that. Anyway, my point is I don't like torture stuff, so it's not that kind of movie, but I guess it is disturbing according to peeps. Well, I did want to make it disturbing.
Well,
I'm sorry, it is. But it's good. It's good. It's not, I think, but the thing is, I think the way you are doing it, it's not exploitative. It's like a rumination on things. To put it, I'm trying to speak broadly here so I don't give things away. But I feel like in a lot of those extreme movies, like with a Serbian film, I have not seen a Serbian film, even though I like extreme horror. I don't need to see it. I know it happens. No. I'm good. Like, I think that's taking advantage of like a certain moment in like film history too, where people were looking for that extreme horror. I think there's a delineation, I feel like now, I think in terms of like different kinds of extreme horror, if that makes sense. Because I really like extreme horror, but there are lines I will not cross. Like August Underground too. Like that's a found footage snuff, like basically snuff that I will. And this is not this, everybody. Like this is not a film that's like August Underground. This is much It is really good. It's disturbing, but it's not like it's not going to be like upsetting in the way that a lot of his other films are, I think.
Yeah, and I guess when I said I don't like extreme horror, I wasn't talking about films like the French film Inside or anything like that. I do like I was more talking about the rape, torture, like just to watch it. Like, that makes me want to vomit.
Yeah.
So
what I kind of told.
No offense.
Oh no, it's okay. I'm a fucking weirdo who likes that shit. I understand. It's weird.
Yeah.
What I told Mary Beth when
Anyway,
when I watched this for the first time, she had asked me how far I was, and so I like paused the movie because I was fairly certain I was close to the end. And I was like, 36 minutes. Yeah. Well, she drops a spoiler, y'all. And I was like, what? But no, I was 36 minutes from the end. And I was surprised by that because this movie, where a lot of like, again, no offense, Mary Beth, but where a lot of found footage movies end, this movie just continues. And I love that about it, is that like there's a moment where it's like, oh, I think this is where the film is going to like have a wrap up. And then it just continues from there. And that's what I love about it, is that the last act pretty much is like this just really intense journey that I think not a lot of found footage films do. And I love that about it.
It's what's happening to the people in Blair Witch after they disappear in my head, like something like that. Like they've disappeared and you don't know where they are. And this is where they're stuck. And
where they go is with Britney Spears and Crossroads.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they go
bam. And just start doing that over and over and over again.
I'm curious, though, like, where did this kind of idea come from for the Outwaters?
I had the name first. I love the word Outland. Outlands. I love that word. And so thinking of that word, I thought of Outwaters, which isn't a word. And then that was like, that gives me something to explore. I wanted to make a found footage movie because I don't have any money or resources or a crew or a producer. So I thought Outwaters, found footage. And then I love Terrence Malick, and I was like, what if Terrence Malick went to hell and like did a Tree of Life type of thing, but in hell? Now, obviously, I'm not saying that with Terrence Malick, he's the best, but that's what I was going for.
I can see that.
So that's where it started. But it started with the name, The Outwaters, which I like to make titles that are evocative. So I thought that one was, because I couldn't stop thinking about the word.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so I know you said that you didn't really have a crew, you didn't have a big budget, but like some of the things that are on here are very effective and kind of showcase like the ability for people to do a lot with a little. Because there is a moment where I was like, what the absolute fuck did I just see? And I don't want to spoil it for people, but like it's we can cut this. Oh yeah, you cut this, but yeah. I don't want them to be able to like expect anything. At least. So we'll cut that. I'll rephrase it differently. But basically, I am curious how you did manage to pull off some of the things that happen in this film, because they're very effective. How's that? I was able to pull off some of the euphemisms that happen in this film. I just kept making stuff until it looked real. That's really, I mean, this is what I would say. If you're like making shit for a movie, just don't use it if it doesn't look real. And if it looks fake, like, make it again. You heard it here, folks. Make it look real. I love that. And make sure you save some of your budget for Britney Spears songs. Oh, yeah. Oh, can I talk about the soundtrack? Because I wanted to talk about that on the Overlook Hour podcast, and I totally forgot. But I just I got to use songs from a lot of my friends in the film, and I just love. Yeah, please do. Tell us more. Oh my god, well, it doesn't have any Britney Spears songs, but being a no-budget indie film, I had to use songs from my friends, but luckily I have friends who do music, and I don't know, actually I don't really know if I have anything interesting to say about the soundtrack other than I think it's super cute and should be something for everybody on it. But the composer, my friend Salem Belladonna, she was able to create this choir piece for the film. And she also did a dance song there's a scene where I'm dancing in the kitchen with my friend and drinking. And so she's amazing. And it was like the first time I was ever able to have someone create music for a film I made. And I was like, can you make this like pop dance song for when I'm like drinking? And then also this choir piece that
And I had her listen to Candyman and
wow. Okay.
the score from the Amityville Horror, because I feel like on average film scores are pretty atrocious these days and so generic but then you go back to even like subpar movies from back in the day, and even like some pretty terrible horror movies have beautiful and unique scores.
They sure do.
And I think what's being lost today is like melody. Melody. And like, anyway. But so I love Salem, and she also did the score for Tinsman Road, which is this beautiful piano score, and I love it.
Can we include a little bit of it in here?
Yeah. Oh my God. When I send you the MP3 of the piece from Tinsman Road, it's just so beautiful. I was like shocked because she is my friend. You don't think you're going to get like something that good from your friend when you have no money to give them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do. So let's just take a quick break and we'll listen to a little bit of the Tinsman Road score because I want to talk to you about that movie. So, listeners, here is the little bit of that song. As well as the Outwaters it's playing, you've talked about it here. Tinsman Road. Are you in post-production on this? What is this, and is it coming out to festivals? What's going on with this one?
Tinsman Road is all shot. I have a rough cut. I'm working on getting working on my next cut of it. It's another found footage film, but I shot it on mini DV, which was really fun, but also a nightmare.
Yeah.
I forgot what it was like. I forgot what it was like to like film something and then not know if the tape would play back correctly. I did get one of my tapes eaten.
Oh no!
In the camera when I pulled it out of the camera. Luckily, it was only like me doing push-ups and trying to be cute, like a scene that probably wouldn't have wound up in the film anyway. So, yeah. But yeah, no, I shot it on mini DV because Outwaters is found footage and Tinsman Road is found footage. I wanted to make them totally different vibes, different looks, different stories. Tinsman Road is a straightforward story, mystery drama with a little bit of horror. And I got to change locations from the Outwaters with the hot 100-degree desert to the autumn and winter like trees of the Northeast in New Jersey where I'm from. So it's a very Jersey movie.
Okay.
And
East Coast. post.
I shot it on a camera from around 2002, so the film is set around 2002. If I could get the rights to like Brandy's What About Us or Full Moon, I would, but I don't have that budget. And like Avril Lavigne, I want to put all the songs from Let Go on it.
Have it playing in the background. You can barely hear it, but you just know it's there. Just quietly in the background.
I'm just going to give this scoop to you first.
Exclusive.
There will be a day, unless like I die, but like there will be a day where I make a film and the soundtrack will have What About Us by Brandy and some songs Complicated from Avril Lavigne's debut. And yes. I can't wait for that movie. And I don't care if the whole budget goes to getting those songs, but anyway, you heard it here first.
I'm going to hold you to that one. I want to see that.
I can't wait to.
It's going to be the most expensive found footage movie, but it's going to look really low budget. We're just going to have a fucking banger soundtrack.
I can't wait.
It's going to be incredible. So, do you like found footage movies? Like, is that a thing you like? I know that a lot of people do found footage because of budget constraints, and it's like, and you know, it is an easier format to work in for low budget. But do you like found footage movies outside of the work you've done?
I like it if it's good, just like any other movie. It's
cool.
You know,
all right, that's fair.
I think most of them are. I mean, I think most of them are.
Watch
not
your
good.
words. Go to a found footage festival in a couple days.
I can't stand when people like try to edit themselves, so they're like, you know, oh yeah, everything's great. No, like there's so many bad ones, and so I love it when the movies go. So the Blair Witch Project, I love. Obviously, Willow Creek is actually the film that inspired me to get off my ass and make the Outwaters, because it was the first time in a while I had seen a found footage film that I thought was like natural and realistic and good, and I liked the characters. And for me, it's few and far between, but yeah, I like him if they're good. I love the format, and for watching it and for filming it, it is a unique thing, and I like. Yes, so I would say I like them. I just think most of them aren't that good.
T. Terry, have you seen Willow Creek?
I actually have not seen Willow Creek.
I love it.
As someone who worked on a show about Bigfoot, it's very accurate to the weirdo Bigfoot community. So
I went on a road trip during the pandemic to the actual Willow Creek because of the movie, and I camped out in that town with my friend. I went to all the places that they film. I mean, this is so dorky, but like I went to all the places that they film, and it's such a cute town. If you ever get up to northern, it's like deep in the woods, like northern California, but it's such a cool little town that is centered around Bigfoot.
Was that the one that was directed by Bobcat?
Bobcat, yeah.
Did you see Bigfoot? Did you experience Bigfoot?
No, but it's funny because all the people camping out there, a lot of them are there because of Bigfoot, so they all make the noises, like the ooh thing, so you hear that all night.
Oh my god. Mm-hmm. Someone just needs to tell him he doesn't exist.
I went Bigfooting once and I learned how to make the calls and how to do the knocking with the baseball bat on a trunk to make it sound like you're like a mating call.
Terry, you have to watch Willow Creek tonight. It's not long.
I can't watch it tonight. I have to watch the South by screener.
Fucking film festival bullshit.
No.
Just kidding. I love film festivals. I'm going to one and sorry, film festivals.
Me too.
But wait, okay, before I move on to what we've talked about, we're talking about Tinsman Road, but what is Tinsman Road about?
Tinsman Road is about this total homo named Robbie that goes back to New Jersey, and my sister's been so not funny. Okay, it's about a guy that goes home. He moves back in with his mom a few years after his sister went missing, and his mom believes the house is haunted.
So not funny. I'm sorry.
It's such just like Crossroads was about is like the Outwaters. Tinsen Road's like Mamma Mia.
Oh my god!
Here we go again. Here we go again. The one in this chair.
Is it a musical?
It's a musical, yeah. Actually, what's interesting is the next movie I want to make is a musical, and it's not horror.
I want that.
Do you write music?
Yes.
Really?
I have a few songs on the Outwaters soundtrack, too.
Oh, fuck yeah. Cool.
Check it out. The Spell is my best song. The Spell.
Hell yeah. Damn.
It's like when they're doing shots in the beginning, when me and my brother are doing shots in the beginning, that's my song, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be me, though, like in the world of the film, like that'd be weird, but, you know, I had no budget for music, so I used my own stuff.
Is it available for people to listen to anywhere?
It's on Spotify. The Outwaters, that's what I want. The Outwaters soundtrack playlist is on Spotify. Most of the songs from the movie are on there, not all of them yet, but most of them are. And I've sent it to Mary Beth like a few times.
I have it.
I was gonna say, can you send it so that we can like include in our show notes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking for my missing sister. My mom is like a little, you know, going through it, and it's a mystery with drama and ultimately some horror. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Cool.
And the trailer will be before the film at UFO.
Okay. We've talked about all of your cool stuff, Robbie, but what movie are we talking about today that you brought with you?
Glitter. It's my
You were
favorite.
so ready. You were so ready.
It scarred me. I saw it for the first time when I was 23 in Australia with my friend Kieran. He was like, "You've never seen Glitter?" And I was like, "No, I haven't." And so we watched it and ate Chinese food. And then I haven't watched it since. It's terrifying me so much. Terrible. No, we're talking about, what are we talking about? Oh, The Changeling with Angelina Jolie.
Wait.
No.
I'm like, I don't know if I watched the right movie. What's happening?
Yeah, The Changeling with Angelina Jolie. Oh my god. It came out in like the 90s. No. Okay. We're talking about The Changeling with George C. Scott and Trish Vanderveer or whatever.
Sure.
Every time the name pops up on the beginning of the movie, it's like I hope I'm not remembering that wrong, but I just feel like Trish Vanderveer. I guess we'll find out. I lived on off of Vanderveer Road in New Jersey, so I could be not important. That's not what we're here to talk about. I also lived on Vroom Drive.
Vroom Drive.
Like Vroom Vroom?
Like Vroom Vroom, in Bridgewater, New Jersey. If you want to stalk.
What amazing name
My
for a
mom.
street. Vroom Drive.
No, The Changeling. It's the only film that ever made me cry.
Holy shit. So before we get into that, let me just super quickly read a plot synopsis for The Changeling. So in The Changeling, after the death of his wife and daughter in a car crash, a music professor staying at a long vacant Seattle mansion is dragged into a decades-old mystery by an inexplicable presence in the mansion's attic.
Bum, bum, bum. Okay, so you kind of spoiled a little bit, but I want to hear your horror story about this. When did you see it? How old were you? And why is this your Scarred for Life pick? And why did it make you cry?
Okay. I was between the ages of 8 and 10. I had already seen films like Candyman and Jaws and a bunch of other lots of R-rated films. So I had seen a lot. For whatever reason, my dad had it on and I started crying and made him turn it off. And that's like never happened in my life. And if you want the moment, is that what you want? The moment? Oh, it's when all the audio goes out and you just hear Joseph's voice playing back on the tape as the camera like zooms through all the hallways and downstairs. There was something, I just literally got chills. There's something about the way that the idea of that scene with the voice and the sound design and the camera movement that just cut like right through me. And I just remember I started crying and my dad was probably really confused because I had, I saw Candyman. But yeah, I made him turn it off.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is not the moment I would have picked for this because I remember seeing this movie when I was in my teens, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But it would for me, I thought it would be the drowning boy scene because that was traumatizing. But it's actually the really well done seance moment. It sounds like where he's listening to the tape afterwards, and he's like saying,
Father, farewell, marriage, sacred heart, my medal, Father, don't help.
That moment as the camera starts doing its...
I literally have chills right now. I have not had chills since a guy showed up to my door at 2 a.m. a couple months ago. banging on it.
Oh.
Are you safe? Are you okay?
Where's that story going?
It's just the last time I got chills. No, I hook up too much, so I don't have a vetting process on Grindr, so...
Wait, was that a hookup or was it a random dude who banged on your door that loud then?
It was a hookup that later came back.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, let me in. And I was woken up out of sleep by like banging on my door. And I looked through the peephole and I was like, fuck, what is this shit? This is why I got an apartment on the second floor, so I did not have to deal with this shit. And there's just like a guy in my peephole, like, let me in. I just was silent, hoping he would go away. And he just sat in front of my door. And then I eventually was able to get my wits about me and understand that it was someone I had hooked up with a couple of days prior. But he was not able to explain why he was at my door or your eyes are like horrified. So anyway, he eventually went away, but that's the story. So
that brought you back to the Changeling.
So to bring it back to the Changeling.
Wow.
I forgot where we were. Chills.
Getting chills for the first time since that terrifying man was at your door with Terry talking about the voice floating through the hallways of this ginormous fucking house.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I derailed that.
No.
No, it's incredible. No, I say that house because the house to me is like, holy shit. One, obviously iconic and beautiful, but also I was like, how can one person occupy this home? How can a family of 4 occupy this home? These houses are so ridiculously huge. I don't understand the necessity for it. And this is just me being a brat. I'm just like, you just have this empty house sitting on your property. And like, obviously people are saying it's haunted and all that shit. But it's just, yeah, you can just move into this house by yourself with just, a couple things. And you live in this ginormous house. And of course there's a fucking ghost in the house.
We rented it from the Historical Society so he could do his little musics.
Relatable.
You don't need that many rooms. You don't need that many rooms.
I have a feeling that when this was filmed and back in that time, it might not have been that expensive to do something like that through a place like the Historical Society.
Not if they hadn't rented it in 12 years. I mean, that shit probably was cheap.
That's true.
Such a beautiful, the interiors of that.
Oh, it's
film.
Gorgeous. Oh, so you stopped it. Did you go back and watch it later, or?
I don't remember how much later I finished it. I don't know if it was the next day in the daytime or the next month. I remember I saw the whole thing shortly after that. I probably felt like I was being a baby, and like I tend to do that if I get scared of something or like back down from something. I tend to go back to it pretty quickly. So
that's sort of like me, except I would just watch the sequel and then it'd be fine. That was like my coping mechanism.
Too, with Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, you just had to wait 28 years,
something like that.
Wait, so Terry, I want to hear your story with this one because I've seen some notes on it, and now I want to hear the whole fucking thing because I'm very curious about when you first saw this movie.
Okay, so I was in high school and I was dating this girl that would become a religious nut. I think I've mentioned her on the podcast before, where like she found, her mom and family found religion to the point that they thought that dinosaur bones were placed there by Satan to confuse people.
I put them there.
I knew that about you, Robbie. I've been waiting for this moment.
This is why we brought you on the podcast to reveal the truth about dinosaurs.
Surprise. It was me.
Yeah, so her family ended up being nuts, but like as a little closeted queer boy in the 90s, it was good to have a girlfriend to deflect these ideas. And she was my beard, and I just didn't realize it at the time.
How does she feel? Did she ever
I have not talked to her since then.
Okay, cool. I was like, I wonder if she ever
found
out if you were out. Okay.
The moment she started talking in tongues, I was kind of out.
That is so hot.
It really wasn't.
Robbie puts in Grindr profile, must speak in tongues.
I'll do that right now.
Please do it, and let us know what kind of people you get messaging you.
So
they were super religious, but like it was weird because it was with them that I saw Titanic, and she would introduce me to and she would introduce me to this movie because her mom would say, "Hey, do you want to see something really scary?" And I was like, "Sure."
To you or to me? Because I feel like her concept of scary would be very different. But anyway, obviously she was.
I mean, I was sort of like, sure. Like, where are we going to go with this? Because I know you guys are like religious, and this was before the whole Titanic thing, where she was like, "Now you're going to see some breasts in this movie, but it's okay.
Sorry,
it's biological." Like that was and so it was me, her mom, and this girl going to see Titanic. Yeah, it was weird. But anyway, this movie said, "Do you really want to see something really scary?" I was like, sure. And there are 3 moments in this movie that have been seared in my head ever since I saw it. It would probably was in like, I don't know, 96, I think. 96 or 97 was when probably 97 was when I saw this. And it was all around Joseph. First, it was the boy floating in the tub. That brief moment, like, was like, oh, I was not expecting to see that. And then it was the moment that the father picks up the boy's legs and drowns him in the pool. Just like that whole one move action of him grabbing his legs and then forcing him in the pool and the kid being unable to get back up. I was like, oh God, that's a horrible way to die. What if that happened to me? What if I fall in on my back and I can't use my legs and get up? Like, these are the thoughts going through my 17-year-old head at the time. And then it was finally
was it her whole family? Was it her whole family watching this with you?
No,
it's like the 3 of you?
It was just the 3 of us, me, her, and
I have a lot of questions, but we won't worry about that right now. I just have a lot of questions about that triptych, that threesome going on. But that's fine. We won't talk about it. I have so many
like memories that are popping in right now. There's one time where she like showed me this picture of something. She's like, "Do you know what this is?" And like, I didn't know what it was, but it was a picture of her uvula. She was having throat surgery or something. And I guess it looks like a vagina. And I, at the time, was like, I have no idea. She's like, "You can say it. It looks like a vagina." She's like, "But it's not." And I was like, so this is
how long did you date her?
Oh my God, I don't even know. I like my idea of time in my high school is so whack. I have no idea. It could have been a year. It could have been 6 months. I don't know. I felt like we started dating over the summer and it like just lasted throughout most of that year. I don't know. It was very weird. Why did you break
up? It sounds super cute and healthy.
She broke up with me.
Oh,
because I wasn't.
Maybe she could call in next week.
You believed in fucking dinosaurs, you goddamn heretic.
No, I remember her giving me like this fantasy novel because she knew I liked to read fantasy, but it was like a Christian fantasy novel. Like it was magic and all that kind of stuff, but it was all Christian themed and. Yeah, very weird.
I know we're derailing about the Changeling. I'm so sorry. I have so many questions about her and this incredible dynamic. But what was the third thing that scared you besides the weird mother-daughter relationship evolving next to you while you were watching The Changeling? As a high school student,
when the girl is like at the very end of the movie, where the girl is like they've dug up the well and the girl is sleepwalking and she walks into it, looks down, and then there's the boy is just floating there. Which, by the way, that's the boy. That's the actor's IMDb profile picture. Is the pool? Is the well scene? His name.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. His name is Voldy Way. He's only been in. Well, okay.
Drag queen.
He's only been in 3 things. And his bio is beautiful. Voldy Way was born in a VW bus to his flower children parents. Home educated until the age of 11 when he co-founded a software company in Santa Ana, California. And then he attended Orange Coast College until his early teens. And then he decided he needed more exposure. And then, yada, yada, yada. But yeah, I just love that. I just love that he was born in a VW to his flower children parents is on IMDb. But regardless, that scene is what has been stuck in my head since, I don't know. I don't do math. 1997-ish, however many years that is from now.
It's like 25.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
But I hadn't thought about this movie until, like, when was it? 2018, 2019, when Severin did the Blu-ray release of it, because it wasn't really readily available here in the States, I didn't think. And then that came out, I was like, oh my gosh, this movie is so great. And now we're talking about it. And about uvulas, or whatever they're called.
Do you know what this is? No? You can say it. It looks like a vagina.
So cute.
Wow. Romance.
Awkward. Uncomfortable.
Okay, so I have a confession. I have a confession to make about something you said, Terry, about the young girl and the well. I wanted to be that little girl. I wanted to find a ghost like that. Like, my dream as a child was to have an experience where I could dramatically find a ghost like that in a dead body. Like, I wanted so badly to be that weirdo little girl.
Really?
That's the spirit of Tinsman Road. Like, we go looking for, like, my two oldest friends, Nancy and Heather, we all grew up together in this apartment complex in Piscataway, New Jersey. And we used to tell each other ghost stories and go ghost hunting. We even went to the library looking at old newspaper things, like in the Changeling when we were trying to find out if anyone died in our apartment complex, because my friend Nancy said she saw two men in red hats standing over her bed in the middle of the night. And like, yeah, so I wanted to capture a little bit of that thing in Tinsen Road, so we did a little seance scene, but yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, like, I so badly... Like, so this was the first time I had seen The Changeling. I'd never seen it before until this, so I'm very glad I finally saw it. And the scene where she walks and finds, like, like, sees the little boy in the well, like, I didn't, but I did want that to happen to me as a kid. Like, I wanted to have this, like, transcendent, ghostly experience so badly. I never really did. I think I saw a ghost once, but it was a dog, which, is kind of cool in retrospect. But I never had that moment, and I so badly wanted it. Like, this is, like, a very weirdly specific memory I have of... We used to live by this, like, public beach, and I used to live on the Chesapeake Bay in Maryland, so, like, the water is disgusting. It's, like, not a great place to swim, but, whatever. When you're in Maryland, you swim in shitty water. I so badly wanted to be the girl that found a dead body in that water I don't know why. Like, please don't ask me why I was such a fucking weird child, but, like, I so badly wanted to be the kid that, like, saw a ghost or found a dead body or, like, had some creepy story to go along with it, and The Changeling reminded me of that fact. I had not thought about that in a long time, but here we are. I've never found a dead body.
Did you Stand By Me when you were growing up? Because that could have inspired that.
I did not. I didn't watch it because my mom didn't want me seeing that because of the dead body. But I did not see it. I just watched a lot of scary movies and like a lot of like poltergeist and ghost stuff. So I really wanted to have the ghost experience, even though I didn't. It's one of those things where, like, ghosts... Because this, again, like, this movie kind of proves, like, ghosts are fucking terrifying, but at the same time, I wanted to say that I had, like, an experience. I never did, though. Unfortunately. Or fortunately, I'm not quite sure. But, anyway, I digress.
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
Tell now, if you're comfortable.
If you're from New Jersey, there's a magazine there called Weird New Jersey on there.
Yeah!
I've heard of it.
All of us from this is a New Jersey thing to do when you're growing up, is you get the Weird New Jersey magazine, you try to drive to places, find stuff, it's amazing. So shout out Weird New Jersey. But we would always do that. I was always also looking for ghosts, trying to have an experience. But my grandmother's house in Highland Park, everyone in my family always said it was haunted. I always got bad feelings there in 2 rooms. There was an upstairs bedroom. I would have that chill feeling in it. And the basement, which is pretty typical. But my grandmother was out of town and she let me stay at the house by myself. I brought my camcorder and got dropped off and it wasn't even dark yet. I wasn't even starting to get scared. I was just on the phone with, I think, one of my friends. And all of a sudden I got the chill feeling. And I just felt like someone was standing at the top of the steps watching me. And I was sitting with my back to the staircase and I just felt like I can't move. If I look up, someone's going to be there.
Yeah.
That was the feeling. It was horrifying. And then upstairs you hear,
oh no.
Like, it sounded like someone was like not just footsteps, like thudding, thundering across the house upstairs. You could feel the vibrations. It sounded like someone was knocking down furniture. It was just very loud and unmistakable and very much in that house. That said, I totally froze. I ran outside and then I called my friend Nancy and had her mom drop her off so she would spend the rest of the night with me.
You didn't even leave. You just stayed.
I stayed. I just needed my friend Nancy. So her mom dropped her off with some pizza.
Oh,
Very Jersey. And me and Nancy stayed over. I guess her mom knew I was gay because they should have been worried about two high school kids. But in the morning, me and Nancy were in the kitchen and something just fell off the wall on the staircase in the other room. And then we both heard footstep things too. So I actually don't know if I believe in ghosts or not, but that's the thing where I really couldn't explain what was happening. It was an unmistakable thundering. Sorry to pound the walls and jar you.
No,
possibly.
glad you did. But taking that back to the Changeling though, because that is how Joseph tries to get the attention. And I love the way that like the spooks in this are, in the beginning at least, him trying to be heard with like the banging on the walls, the way that he uses. One of the things watching this time that I really loved is the way that they use water and the faucets to like sort of be a breadcrumb to lead him up the stairs to the bathtub where the horrifying dead kid in a tub scene happens. But like, I love that aspect of it where the ghost at the beginning is trying to be heard, and then he becomes a little bit more vicious towards the end of the movie. But I love that with the pounding, because it's something that when I rewatched it this time that just reminded me of watching it for that first time. It's like, oh yes, the clanging. It's such a specific sound in this film. For
sure. Well, and like, again, speaking to that is how quick this movie moves. Like, this movie jumps right into the ghost. Like, you have this really traumatic opening sequence where there's a phone booth on the side of a snowy mountain and they're having a snowball fight. And this horrendous car accident happens. And then we just go right to him moving out of the apartment. And you see their empty apartment. And then he's in the house. Like, it's very quick to move through things, but not in a way that I think is a detriment to the movie. I think it just isn't kind of very quickly characterizes everything and kind of gets you set up. And then the ghosts just start appearing. Like, the ghost shit happens immediately. Like, he wakes up to, like, the pounding sound. And so I love movies like this where they just get into the ghost. You're not like, is it a ghost? Is it his brain? You don't know what it is. Like, no, it's a fucking ghost. Like, and we're going to talk about the ghost for the whole movie. Because I feel like a lot of haunted house movies, the ghost is like the back half. It's not really like the front half. And this is a movie that's like, no, the ghost is the thing almost the entire film, which is very much appreciated, I think, in terms of the ghost movies for me.
One thing that stood out to me is like the red and white ball that he throws off of the bridge. When it comes back, just the detail of having it slick with water still is such a beautiful little poetic detail that I think is missing from a lot of stuff today. Like, those little things, I just appreciate. I just appreciate the little details like that in The Changeling.
Yeah, this movie definitely gets the details right. I think when I was watching this, I was thinking, man, this is the movie that a lot of modern haunted house stories are like trying to emulate. And I think watching this time, especially coming off of like watching The Conjuring and a lot of James Wan's kind of ghostly oeuvre, I think this movie influenced a lot. There's a lot of those kind of camera tricks, the sort of the slow panning. There's the shot when he's moving in the house, that the camera that starts to turn around the room and then leaves the room to go see George C. Scott's character John playing the piano. And there's all these little camera things in here that I think are just so smart. I mean, probably this movie is a little bit influenced by The Shining, I think, maybe in the cinematography department, but I feel like a lot of this movie feels more modern than you would expect a 1980 ghost story to be.
Was it 1980, The Changeling?
Mm-hmm.
Because The Shining came out 1980 as well, so
it did,
they might not have even seen that.
They might not have, you're right.
Oh, true.
I'm not sure, but I would imagine they didn't see it, because back then, the turnaround with a movie being
yeah.
in theaters.
Yeah. Well, and like, they have these moments that I'm so used to seeing in like and I noticed you took this, Terry, like with The Conjuring and like our like contemporary haunted house movies that are so scary. But here, like, you have the door opening behind him, the piano note playing, waiting. And there's that particular moment when he comes home from trying to confront the senator and all of the doors start slamming and the camera is like spinning around and all of these noises. And it feels very ahead of its time, I think, to me in terms of a ghost story, in terms of how they have all these, like, obviously closing doors aren't revolutionary, but the way it's shot and the way we have this kind of culmination of this ghostly anger happening and like kind of that chaotic energy around how we see it and how we're more closely occupying his kind of mindset rather than someone watching him being haunted. It's like we're part of the haunting in a really interesting way that makes it so scary. And, you know, at this point, I've seen so many ghost movies, but this one really is, I feel like, a quintessential ghost movie, a quintessential haunted house movie, and really knows how to get you, like fucking scare you.
Yeah.
I also went method for preparing for this episode of the podcast because I watched this movie in the bathtub. So I was scared because I was like, oh fuck, I did not realize that there would be a lot of weird bath imagery. So yes, it was like dark candles watching a movie in my bathtub, and it was The Changeling, and it was spooky. It was so spooky.
I usually watch Jaws 2 from the bathtub or like The Real Housewives with wine.
Wait, Robbie, that's what I usually do. I usually watch The Real Housewives. I'll smoke a bowl and watch Real Housewives in my bathtub. I had to watch The Changeling.
I will do a line or two of blow. No, I'm just kidding.
Getting ready for the fucking Housewives. Getting ready for the
Housewives. But, yeah, no, Housewives of Beverly Hills in New Jersey. Those are my girls.
Oh, we'll talk about that later. I won't talk about this now. But yes, I also am a Real Housewife in the bath.
I'm just going to keep... I talked about this on the Overlook Hour podcast, but I do want to just keep putting it out into the universe that I would like to make the Real Housewives found footage horror movie.
I'll produce it.
Thank you. I want to do it just like a Real Housewives episode in terms of the crew and how it's filmed. I want to get all the real drama going on with like Ramona, Kyle, put some people together from different cities. And then I want it to turn into a realistic something bad happens. But it's going to be a mix of real drama. Obviously, they're going to be in on the fact that they're in a movie, but we are going to put them on a vacation somewhere and have them actually just go at it. And I know just how to do it, and I'm just putting it out there. I do really want to work with Kyle Richards as an actress. Thanks. Andy Cohen, hire me for that. Yeah.
Because that would be incredible. Manifesting.
Wouldn't it? I mean, can you imagine Ramona Singer like walking down a dark hall with a flashlight? Like,
I want her to be the villain.
That can be arranged. But yeah, no, it needs to be a thing. That's all.
I've never seen a single episode.
Well,
I'm a bad gay.
I was a bad gay until the pandemic. No, I used to watch New Jersey and Beverly Hills when I lived in New Jersey back in the day when they were first on, because my mom was watching them. And I back then I was very like judgy, but I secretly loved it. And then I just like didn't do any reality TV until the pandemic. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go back to season 2 of Jersey and Beverly Hills and just start from there. And now it's like literally as soon as the episode becomes available on Amazon Prime, I pay for it, and there you go.
The closest I've ever been is watching 30 Rock, and there's 2 episodes called Queen of Jordan that are done like a spoof of those. And that's about as close as I've ever gotten.
It's so good. Just for your listeners, I know this is why they're tuning in, but the mid-season trailer for Real Housewives of New Jersey season 12 just was released on YouTube. Check it out. It looks cray.
Did you edit it? Was that you? Did you make the trailer? Are you doing some work for Bravo?
I love it. No.
But speaking of the Real Housewives, George C. Scott. Do you like that segue? That transition?
That's an incredible segue.
Perfectly normal
so
and natural, wasn't it?
Perfectly normal and natural was incredible. And me calling it out makes it even better.
I'm looking at our notes, and I see a note from you, Mary Beth, that I think you should say on air.
So word for word, I'm sorry, but he made me go daddy.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of hot. I have a thing for older guys.
Oh, I just put it together.
Yeah, I think the main lead man, John, George C. Scott, made me go daddy, and I don't really want to unpack that a lot with you guys, but here I am.
That makes me want to thank you for the podcast in which you discussed that Boy Next Door movie, because I had always thought The Boy Next Door was the movie Careful What You Wish For. I had no idea there was a whole new hot guy in a movie like that. And so I watched it and I was just like so turned on, and thank you for that.
You're welcome. We're doing the Lord's work.
Yeah. Trying. But there was just something about his vibe. And again, I like older actors and like maybe less conventionally attractive looking men. I say this as I'm not engaged to a guy only 2 years older than me. Like, it's not manifesting in my actual dating life, but like in my weird lizard brain, I like older dudes.
You ever think of spraying that gray hairspray on when he's sleeping?
He's actually bald, so.
Oh.
So.
You can still try it.
Yeah, just rub it in, dye his skin gray.
Just have him take up smoking, and he'll get wrinkles quicker.
He's okay, but George C. Scott is so good in this, I think. But
this is the thing. He's so good in it, and he's so tender. He's like a sweetie a little bit. And I think that's why I like him.
He's very vulnerable in this. Like, I forgot about the scene where he has like a nightmare of seeing his wife and daughter get run over again. And then he wakes up and he's bawling in bed. There's a tenderness that I don't think necessarily, like, I've not seen him in a whole lot of stuff, but everything I've seen George C. Scott in, it's always like the sort of the masculine, like the traditional masculine character that we see in a lot of like early cinema. Like, he was in Patton, he played Patton. He was in Doctor Strangelove, he played a general. Like, these are the types of roles I associate with him. It's not this sort of like tender composer. You know what I mean?
There's like this one moment I think that really stood out to me with that too, is when he's practicing with his students. It's like a string quartet, and he's playing the piano, and he's built up to be this like very famous composer. A lot of people know who he is. And like, in a lot of movies, you see these kinds of men being very rude and kind of egotistical, but he's very sweet. He's like, that was so good. He was like, that was splendid. Here's some notes, but that was great. And there's like a kindness to him that I don't think you see in a lot of these kind of leading male characters in horror, especially in like the late 70s, early 80s, that struck me. Cause I not knowing a lot about this movie, I was like, oh God, is this going to be another like white guy like being the hero? And there is some of that in this movie, but it's much more, like you said, a much more emotionally complex than I was expecting, especially because it is just him for a lot of the movie, kind of going through these experiences and reflecting on his past and like his trauma. So yeah, yes.
Well, and what I'll also say is that there's a scene where he's composing and he's sitting in his piano and he's playing and he's really feeling the music, and it felt very authentic, because my dad played piano a whole lot. He was in the bands. He like had a baby grand who played the piano, and his mannerisms brought me back to watching my dad play. Like, he would get so pulled up in the music that it felt so like surprisingly authentic and grounded in reality. And I don't know. I realized this time just how nuanced of a performance and of an actor that he actually is in this, as well as being a daddy.
And he played Patton, which is weird. I said daddy, and then I looked down at the notes and said he played Patton, and I was like, oh no, I did this to me. Why did I say this? I said what I said.
Which he refused the Oscar for, by the way, which is
interesting.
Yeah, he didn't like the Oscars.
I mean, good for him.
He said they were a meat market. Which sounds like a good time to me, but...
Wow.
Cheers.
Wow.
But okay, so also, moving away from meat market, the other thing that surprises me is how big this story actually is. Because, like, I was thinking in terms of, like,
Yes.
how haunted house movies are usually very self-contained. And it's like, yes, they have to figure out why the character died, why the ghost was, you know, the vengeance aspect of it. But it's normally, a lot of them are contained to that house. And it's just, like, it affects the people that are living there. And that's about it. Whereas, like, this, it kind of takes, like, the idea of almost some, I'm not saying this is a noir, but it takes some ideas of noir where, like, the kind of central mystery of the house becomes bigger than anyone anticipated and is actually about the career of a politician and his, like, legacy and his, like, whole, like, self-worth in the world is tied up in this little tiny ghost that is living in this house. And I think that's kind of fascinating.
I agree. And I was pretty surprised at how big the scope got. And I was also like, holy shit. Once again, rich people really like wanting to hold, because it all comes down to wanting to hold on to that legacy and like trying to figure out ways to hold on to legacy. And it is fascinating how it always will be fascinating to me about the fascination and obsession with legacy, because I'm getting married this year and people keep asking me, are you going to take his last name? And there's like a legacy thing there with like, oh, are you going to continue on the family name? I'm like, no, I will not be taking the name. And I also don't want kids. So there's this like, that kind of got into my head a little bit about just like the weird importance of legacy to a lot of people and like the like wanting to maintain that. And I know in this movie there's like obviously money and property kind of attached to it, so it's a little bit more like a little bit more tangible. But still, these movies, these ghost stories really do kind of show off these very archaic ideals that aren't as archaic, aren't that old, about what you need to do to keep your family lineage and keep your kind of like monetary value alive, which is really dark. Which is really fucking dark. So that got into my brain a lot too. And like you said, like the politician's legacy, like holy shit, like that kind of throws everything into like a tailspin too.
This is not what you would expect from a typical haunted house film.
Right, exactly. Like all of a sudden it's like a political conspiracy and you're like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, I thought this was just like a haunted little boy. Nope.
She loses her job. They're going to kill his lease. Like, a policeman comes to antagonize them. Like, it's surprisingly big.
Yeah, she's fucking fired. Like, that whole thing where it's like all falls apart. And it's like, oh, by the way, like, y'all, this is... If you didn't want people to think it was a big thing, surprise, bring in the police chief and cancel everything to be like, you dug too deep,
You're onto
friendo.
something there. But I am curious, do you think the Senator Carmichael knew?
I personally, I don't, based on his reaction to finding out.
But my other thing, the one pause I have to that, and maybe I'm misreading this, didn't that older woman call him and say they've been digging around a little bit? So I kind of got the impression that maybe if he didn't know the full extent, like he knew something was up, because I think he like kind of tries to stop them at certain points, but doesn't really admit to it. So I think he knew at least something about what was going on. At least I do.
When he's looking at the, what's it called? He just seems like in that moment, there's something warring within him about, him really believing that was his. But yeah, I guess that what you're talking about also contradicts that he didn't know.
And that's why I wanted to ask this question, because Robbie, I'm kind of on watching it this time. I'm kind of on your side of things where it's like, I don't think.
Well then.
And this is the moment we can turn this into a Real Housewives of Beverly Hills Talking Heads confessional. I cannot believe that Mary Beth thought that he did that. I mean,
can you believe it?
Dumb bitch can't even watch a horror movie.
Oh
no, but it's kind of a tender moment where he's like looking at the medallions, and it's like I think sinking in for the first time that his whole legacy is fake. And so I do also, Mary Beth, I agree, because there is that phone call from the lady, and so I'm wondering if he knew like maybe something happened, but he's not 100% sure about it, because like it's not until he's sitting there looking at both of those that I think it really sinks in that his whole legacy is based on a lie, which is really sad. Like, yes, he's a rich white Republican, but like if you were to find out that like it's all based on a lie and someone died for it. It's really quite sad and tragic.
Yeah, it's just human.
Well, it's like, it's sad, and then also just like kind of makes you realize, like, also legacy's bullshit. Like, anyone can say that you're somebody. Like, it's a name is just a name. You know what I mean? Like, in the, like, because, and I see what the thing is, like, I see what you mean with him not knowing, because when John goes to the airfield and is waving the baptism medallion, which I didn't realize we got baptism medallions. Where the fuck is my baptism medallion? Not that I
have
care.
that too. Sorry.
You have one? Oh, I'm so jealous.
No, I have yours.
Oh, you have mine? Oh, yeah. You were there?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, like, I've never been baptized, but it just reminded, like, I just had this again.
You've never been baptized? Oh my God, you're doomed. I'm just kidding.
Well,
you're missing out. It's a wild time. Like, when I was baptized, I was rolling. So fun. Wild.
What it just reminded me of again is my girlfriend trying to save me.
Oh.
I just had like a strong like flash of that, of her trying to save my eternal soul.
Was it like in Carrie? Eve was weak. Did she say Eve was weak to you?
She did not. She did not say that.
My mom was like, Adam for Adam, Adam for Adam. See their dirty pillows.
Wait, did you ever kiss her? Like, did your lips make contact at any point in this relationship?
I do not think so. I do not remember because
wow.
I think when she broke up with me, she told me that I was not affectionate with her. And I'm like...
And you were like, oh no, don't know why.
My first girlfriend broke up with me for the same reason. I wouldn't even sit next to her on the school bus.
I think I was pretty much annoyed that she was like wanting to hold my hand and everything. And I'm like, can we just say that we're boyfriend and girlfriend and just be done with it? Like, what is all of this? I just, oh my God. Like, memories are flooding back in that I haven't thought about in years because of this. Because I remember going to a dance and she is like rubbing up on me and just like smashing herself. And I'm just like, I don't know how to react to this.
Where's Jesus now?
Yeah, seriously. Whatever happened to being Jesus between us? Like, no.
You're like, I'm dating you because you believe in Jesus and you won't smash your body against
mine. That was a weird homecoming. I think it was like 3 weeks later that she broke up with me.
You wouldn't smash.
I wouldn't smash.
I got asked to homecoming dance by a girl and I was like, no.
I said no to it.
You weren't even trying. You were just like, no, fuck that.
No.
Sorry.
No.
Wow.
Yeah, I would have gone with Mr. Shaw though. He was hot.
With who?
Mr. Shaw.
Oh.
He taught reading back or literature, whatever.
Reading.
Maybe it's a Jersey thing, but one of our classes was reading.
Oh.
Was it really?
You never had reading class with Mr. Shaw?
No, I did not.
No, I did not have Mr. Shaw. He was
I feel like I'm missing out.
Teacher.
So hot.
But none of my male teachers were hot. I just remember one of them would like wear these really tight polos and his nipples were always hard and they'd just be sticking out. Like, that's what I had to deal with.
This episode is very chaotic. I feel like it's memory lane for Terry. I feel like he's like reliving some weird traumas right now that I'm very interested in. So many like suppressed memories are coming to the surface.
I'm enjoying the wild ride that is this podcast.
I don't even know. So many memories are coming back because of the fucking Changeling.
I can't believe she wanted to save you.
Yeah. And then she talked in tongues.
She wanted
But did she say Eve was weak to you?
She did not.
Oh.
That's rude.
No.
Did her mom say Eve was weak to you?
I don't think I've ever heard that phrase come out of either of them, so no, probably not.
Okay.
She was too busy showing me her uvula.
Wait, that was her mom that did that?
Yes!
Not the girl? I thought it was just your girlfriend, not the mom!
It was the mom! Yeah!
Hashtag Scarred for Life for real. That's a Scarred for Life tale, but like, not scary movie.
And I hadn't thought about it in years until today.
You're welcome.
So thanks, Robbie.
Well, check out the Outwaters starring Britney Spears.
What if Robbie ripped up a mask? It's surprise, it's me, and it's your ex-girlfriend from high cool. Or her brother. That would be so funny. Scarred for life. Anyway. So, okay. Do we want to wrap this up and give this a rating out of 5? Or do we want to keep talking about Terry's being saved by his
not.
high school girlfriend?
I don't want to think about that ever again.
That's fair. I get it.
I give it 5 uvulas. Uvulas. Is that how you say it?
I don't even know how to say it.
I don't know anymore. But Terry, how many Jesus Christ, how many drowned tub boys out of 5 do you give to Changeling?
Drowned tub boys. Okay.
Drowned tub boys.
I think this movie is iconic. I think it has an iconic performance from George C. Scott. I think it has some of the stuff that a lot of ghost movies try to have. And I think a lot of ghost films in the last 30, 40 years have attempted to, gosh, it's been 40 years, have attempted to match. I think that we didn't even talk about the seance scene, but I think the seance scene is absolutely iconic.
Yes.
With the automatic writing and the woman that is like asking deadpan these questions, and
which the others totally just ripped off.
Oh, absolutely.
100% copy.
Absolutely.
Of that scene. Which I love the others, but that scene was a direct ripoff.
I think you can see I think almost any seance scene that has happened since then, like I immediately am thinking back to this movie because I think this movie does it so incredibly well and does it without any fanfare. It's literally just her scribbling and it's the sound of the writing on the paper and it's her monotone voice. And it's just, I think this movie is very close to being perfect. Watching it now, I do think that unfortunately the female character gets the short end of the stick and kind of turns into the sort of hysterical woman that must be comforted by John Russell and his daddy arms. So I do think there's like some issues with that, but I think overall, I think this movie is as close to being perfect as possible. I'm going to just give it 4.5. Oh God, I'm cutting that poor drowned boy in half.
Chop that boy in half.
But I'm going to chop that boy in half, and as if he's not already dealing with a lot. But yeah, 4.5 drowned tub boys for me. What about you, Mary Beth?
I will also give it 4.5 drowned tub boys. I think this movie is incredible. I think it obviously speaks to how a lot of ghost story movies are made nowadays. The seance scene is incredible because her performance should be talked about more in terms of her complete deadpan face and emotionalist kind of speaking and the way she is aggressively scribbling on that paper. It's so spooky. And then you have my favorite horror trope where he's listening to the sound and you hear the EVP. You hear the voice of the little boy. It's got all of those beats of a ghost story, but as an early ghost story. And it's so effective and creepy in how it is able to build dread, but also make you very sad and just really create this very complicated, spooky ghost story that is both familiar yet feels new, even now watching it in 2022 and not having seen it before. So I think there are some parts that kind of dated a little bit. And I will say my favorite part of this movie is when he first sees the kid in the tub and just backs out and he backs into the camera and it just goes to the next scene, which was so funny. I'm like, this isn't supposed to be funny, but it's kind of hilarious. He just sees it and just backs up. And then, because again, that's how I'd react to it. But that is my rating, 4.5. Boys. I'm sorry, boy. But Robbie, you have the final word. How many drowned tub boys out of 5 do you give this film?
I give it 5. Just for me, it's the best ghost haunted house story. I don't think for me personally, there isn't a better told haunted house story. It has imperfections like most movies, but the overall experience of the film overrides that, so I'm just give it 5. It's my favorite ghost story.
Oh yeah.
I also want to apologize to Alejandro. I don't know if he ripped it off when he was making the others. I don't know. I wasn't in his head, so maybe he didn't.
You weren't? That's rude. You weren't just hanging out and they're like, hey.
No.
What's going on?
But yeah, no. Love it.
I do notice the shirt you're wearing, so how does it compare to The Haunting of Hill House?
I didn't watch this series. I'm not a Flanagan lover.
Okay.
This is the book by Shirley Jackson is one of my favorite books. And the original The Haunting from 1961 or 60 or 63, I think it's 63, is a great ghost story. But I think that The Changeling is a better film than The Haunting, the original one from the 60s.
It's a great book. I do agree. I love that book. I've read it.
The first paragraph of this book, completely beautiful.
It's a great book. I've read it so many times over the however many long years. I love it.
Is the series like good?
I would
love
say
the
that
series.
if you're not a Flanagan fan, you probably won't win
I'm
you over.
mostly not. Although I did just watch something I liked. What's his recent
Midnight Mass?
movie? No, movie.
Hush, Gerald's Game.
Oh, I did like Hush. I just saw that recently.
Dr.
Oh yeah,
Sleep.
I did like Hush. He's kind of hit or miss for me. I think.
Oh yeah, Dr. Sleep. He also did. I think that's probably his most recent.
I'll give The Haunting of Hill House. I'll watch the first 3 episodes and see if I can get into it.
I think it's good.
I'm gonna.
I think there's it has a really great jump scare in the second to last.
When is it set? What decade is it set?
Today and in the past.
Oh, so it's okay. Cool.
So it's like,
all right, yeah, I'll watch the first 3 episodes for sure to give it a proper chance.
So it's like, what if the kids lived in the house and now 20 odd years are dealing with the trauma of living in Hill House?
Okay, I'm gonna watch it. And I'm sorry, how is Bly Manor? Is that good too?
Yes, yeah. I don't think it's as good.
It.
Okay,
it's not as good as it's not as good as Hill House, but I still really liked it. It made me cry like a little baby bitch.
It made me cry too. Yeah.
I like crying.
Well, then you should watch both of these because they'll make you fucking cry.
Depending on who you ask, it either is reveling in queer pain or it is being a gothic movie that happens to be about queer people. Because boy, did that cause a furor when that came out, and the queers had thoughts.
Wait, which film?
Bly Manor.
Oh, I missed that. Must have been on Grindr.
Much better place than Twitter sometimes. And except that I've never had someone pound on my door. So.
Hey.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Anyway.
But thank you so much, Robbie, for coming to talk about The Changeling and bringing back some very traumatic memories that are only tangentially related to this, but I'm probably not going to be able to sleep tonight. So thank you. But where can the listeners find you? And what do you have coming up that you can share?
I'm on Grindr. I'm on Scruff. I'm on Tinder. I'm on Hinge. I'm at Akbar on Sunset Boulevard. And if you like tangents, you'll like the Outwaters. And
no, if you like Crossroads, you'll love the Outwaters.
I'm sorry, yeah. If you like Crossroads.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where can they find me? I don't know. I have a Twitter, but...
Yeah, what's your Twitter handle?
Some Tips for Life. Because back in the day, I used to have a YouTube channel that was called Some Tips for Life, which is not horror-y. Although I did have, Reno 911 style fake ghost hunting episodes called Ghost Patrol, where, it was found footage style, and where, the ghost hunters are making out with each other or
oh, hell yeah,
being inappropriate, and they don't actually believe in ghosts. So I did have some, and I had actually, now that I think of it, I had a series called Seance where I'm having seances with different people, but I'm being super awkward. It's between two ferns, but with seances.
Oh my god,
just super awkward.
Does this still exist?
Excuse me?
Yeah, just some tips for life.
I'm gonna go do a deep dive.
If you want to try to get me canceled, I'm sure there's something from 2009 or 10 in there that you can go find and bring to light. Do it now. I have no money anyway, and I'll just keep making my movies.
Bring it to light right before the movie comes out.
Yeah. No, but Some Tips for Life, my old YouTube channel. I was most well known for the gay bar rejection tutorial. And still to this day, once in a while, someone will come up to me in gay bar and say, "Oh, I love the gay bar rejection tutorial," which is an awkward thing to hear from a stranger at a gay bar.
Uh-huh.
But that's my past.
What a journey. You've really been on a journey.
I love that.
This podcast
I was so
has been a journey.
excited to talk to y'all.
I'm so glad you came on this podcast and you have entered our lives, because I don't even know what to say.
So after you find Robbie on Grindr, you should let us know what your experience was like with the Changeling. We want to hear from you, and so does Robbie. Send us an email at scarredforlifepodcast@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us directly on Twitter. Hopefully Terry is not dead, but I'm at MB McAndrews.
And I was afraid I was going to spill water all over my computer. I'm at Kaylee Treadful.
And of course, don't forget to follow the podcast on Twitter at Scarred Podcast.
I'm a lazy bottom.
We have that in common. Don't forget to review, rate, and subscribe.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm verse if I want. No, I'm lying. I'm a bottom mostly. I'm sorry, to be honest, I say I'm verse, but you all know how that goes. You really know it. I'm single. If you see the Outwaters, you're gonna think I'm so, like, cool and not weird. And, there you go. I'll shut up now.
Thank you to Eric Power for artwork. Thank you to Sean Keller for our music. Thank you to Robbie Banfitch for making my stomach hurt from laughing so hard. Thanks everyone for listening. Please stay safe out there, but most importantly, stay creepy.
Until next time.
Hot.